And Harrod, can you show us the top fruit cage in your range?
Okay, the top of the range is the decorative cage. It has a decorative top,
Yeah.
and we have several different designs, and the cages are modular, so they can be built as large as you want. They're made out of steel, galvanized on the inside and outside, and then powder coated. They have a 10-year guarantee, and they're very substantial.
What about the nets? How long can you use the net?
The net should last for the life of the fruit cage. Typically we see at least 10 years life from the side netting. On this particular cage we have a very, very high quality knotted net, which is immensely strong. That probably will last for maybe 10 to 15, 20 years even. But the netting is actually very cheap, so it can be replaced if it does get damaged.
So at every time consumer can have a new net if he has some problems?
Yeah, it's a fairly simple thing to do. They have a side net which is wrapped around the cage, and they have a roof net as well.
Okay, what about, I'm coming from a well in Switzerland which is very windy. What about the winds?
Yeah, I mean the cages are built very substantially. There are various methods of making them even more rigid, but the fact that they can move slightly means that they withstand the wind well. We've had some over 100-mile-an-hour winds this year, and I've had no customers phoning me up saying they've come down, so that's a good sign. But they can have optional corner bracing. The customer has a choice of the anchoring into the ground. Traditionally they go into the ground about 300 millimeters or 30 centimeters, and they can be concreted in if you like, or they can go into a socket.
Okay. Another and last question, what are people growing in the fruit cages? They are named fruit cages. I see here some herbs. What people are mainly growing in the fruit cages?
Some people do grow herbs, but you have to understand we're at a show today, and this just means that the herbs are a very easy thing to make the stand look pretty and with some growing plants. But traditionally you would grow things like raspberries or fruit that the birds would like, but often people will grow all the classic kitchen garden crops, so lettuce, all the kind of mustard, all the sort of things that you would typically expect the birds to like to eat.
People are also growing dogs in the fruit cages?
Yeah, we sell quite a lot to owners of pedigree cats and dogs that like to have them as a kind of room for their dog in the garden without them straying, so it keeps them in position, stops them going around the garden and causing havoc. Also, people keep chickens and poultry in them as well, as again, really to stop the animals from disappearing over into your neighbour's garden. They're not really designed to be a deterrent from things like foxes, but yeah, there's people, people find all sorts of reasons to have them.
So next year perhaps some chicken and some Lubera plants inside the cage.
You can have a mix of, the classic one is to have blueberries and maybe have little baby quails which keep the pests down, and it's quite a nice, attractive. I mean, we're gardening here aesthetically as well, especially with the decorative top. It's not really necessarily just about the output, it's about the pleasure, it's about the hobby. So this makes the garden, particularly the decorative ones, it's an attractive thing to have in the garden, adds a focal point, some interest. People even grow plants over the cage for a bit more sort of decorative effect.
Thank you very much, Alex.
No problem.